Return home to yourself. This is your space to reconnect, to realign, and to embrace the fullness of who you are. Welcome to the Return Home podcast, where we're diving deep into all things womanhood. Unfiltered, honest, and empowering. Let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of Return Home podcast. Today we'll be talking about something I have been personally working on for a very long time, which is the art of getting what you want and setting boundaries and understanding that saying no is not a rejection. It is just a redirection towards your authentic self. So it is okay to make those boundaries and understand what is right for you and to verbalize those with the people around you. And we will dive into more of that today with my sister and my mom.
Yeah, let's get into it. What does it mean to ask for what we want?
I think one of the first things that have helped me throughout this process of being able to set boundaries and saying no is to actually figure out what you want. We change so much throughout the years. You have to really sit back and figure out what you want and who can provide it to you. Some of it will be yourself. Some of it will be the people around you, but you can't ask people for things that you want that can't come from them. So you can't ask the wrong person what you need. You have to make sure that it's actually something they're going to be able to give you, whether it's mentally being on your same level or physically being able to give you what you need. You have to make sure you're asking the right person. Was listening to a book this morning, The Reclaimed Woman. And who's the author of that?
Kelly Brogan.
Okay, love her. One of the her quotes was, make sure you're not going to a hardware store to ask for eggs. You can't look for what you need in the wrong place. So that I think is important to find is what you're needing. Make sure you're solid on those and who you're needing it from.
Yeah, I think the other part of that is really harnessing what it is that you want.
Yeah.
Like, we do change frequently. We maybe see inspiration often of like what we want. And yeah, coming into yourself saying like, is this what I want? Or is this like a conditioned want? I think ultimately it's how do we ask for what we want? I think sometimes we make assumptions that people should just know what we want. And then we're left frustrated, mad, and wondering, why am I unhappy?
Yeah.
And it was like, well, how did you ask for it? Did you even ask for it? Or are you just assuming that this is what this person or the people around you they're supposed to treat you this way? Yeah. But you never actually told them.
Exactly. Because if you're not displaying or letting people know what you want, they're not going to know you need it because they don't want it. So it's just like us as women. We want a clean house. We want the dishes done, all these things. And then we're mad when nobody pitches in. Well, nobody really wants to do that. You want the house clean. You want the dishes done. Not saying that you have to do it, but if you need them done, either address it and let everyone know, hey, these things need to be done. If you could give me help, but being able to verbalize, because no, people are not going to do what you want because they don't want it.
Yeah, you can't read their mind. I know John does that sometimes. He'll be cooking dinner and I'll just be sitting there on my phone while he's cooking because I'm not cooking and I don't want to be in his way. And then next thing I know, he's like, something he could have needed. I'm like, well, you could have told me. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here relaxing. Then he's a little upset because he needed something and I'm just sitting here. Well, speak it. Yeah. I'm just sitting here, so I'll go downstairs and get the can of green beans you needed or something.
Yeah.
You have to ask. You can't just assume somebody's going to read your mind.
Well, coming from that, I think sometimes the hardest part is you're not able to ask because you don't want to make people feel like they have to do something for you. You don't want somebody to constantly have to give, or you feel selfish asking for what you want. And I think that's one of the biggest things I had to address in myself is what you want is not selfish. Whether it's something that you want or need, it's not selfish to ask those things. Now, you may not always get them, but you do need to at least let people know what you're wanting. We can live in a state of shame and guilt for asking of people.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be the people pleaser, and you want to make sure that, I'm the big, strong person that can do it all for myself. Well, then don't be mad when nothing gets done because you're here doing it all by yourself. You have to be able to ask and not feel guilty to ask for things.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest conditioned beliefs that we get taught in our younger age is when you ask for help, it means you're not qualified enough to do it on your own.
Yes.
And that is one of the biggest letdowns of yourself. You're like, oh, I'm not good enough. I can't do this on my own. I'm not independent like they told me that I should be. And
Right.
no, we're not. We do need help.
Yes.
And we need to use our resources wisely. Like, I can't do it all. Who can I, in my home, ask for help from?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're not independent or that you're not qualified. Those are conditioned beliefs.
Yes.
And that's something we can use to rewire our brain and say, I am still independent. I'm still qualified. I just simply can't do it all. And so I use my words, and how we ask is so important, because when we're huffing and puffing, trying to manipulate, or I know this is something that I do, is when I maybe get a little overwhelmed with too much, I'll maybe be a little huffy and puffy, and like maybe my husband will hear my cries and come to my rescue without me asking him. And it's like, he never does, because that's not how we ask.
Yeah.
And so I've learned, like, you're not going to get your way by moaning and groaning about it. Like, simply use your words.
Yes.
And it feels uncomfortable first because of all those conditioned beliefs that we've created or been placed upon us. And we have to somewhat do the uncomfortable thing and get over the fear so that we can move forward, and to realize and train our mind that it really wasn't that difficult to just ask.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And they usually always say yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's the biggest thing I think over the years that I've learned is reconditioning my subconscious to know you are worthy. You do deserve help. You don't have to do it all on your own. You are still a great woman, even though you can't handle it all. And it's okay to admit that you can't handle it all. And not even saying that you can't handle it all, because yes, we could do it all, but
Right.
does it bring us true joy, happiness, and peace to do it all on our own? No.
No.
So we do have to get rid of those subconscious beliefs that we've been taught over the years that asking for help is a weakness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's one of the biggest strengths once you learn how to do it properly.
Yeah.
And I have always envied people that are able to speak their minds and ask for what they want and not be afraid of rejection, and to not be afraid of people, either not helping or feeling small because you're asking for help. So that's another aspect of it, is the rejection part. You're scared to ask for help because every time you have asked for it before, you've been told no and you've had to do it on your own. And then that just sticks with you. That subconscious is always going to say, oh, no, they're not going to help no matter how much you ask them, no matter how you ask them. No one's going to help you. And then you can revert back to that victim mentality that'll keep you trapped forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is the fear of being told no when you ask for something. The other thing I find is, when I thought about this, you get all those questions back. Well, why do you need this? I don't want to give you a bunch of answers. So know that you're going to be questioned over something you may want. Nobody wants the drill, especially as an adult. You feel like you're a child again. You're going to your husband and asking, can I buy a few things, and then you're going to get, well, why do you need it? Do you need it now? I just want to buy something. So sometimes the fear of being told no or having to be drilled, we don't want that as women.
Yeah.
Because we're pretty intuitive to know we're not just going to go overboard spending stuff.
Well, that also could be a trigger from like a childhood wound
Yeah.
of
That's what I was gonna
like
say.
being grilled about
Yeah.
what you want. And so remembering that I'm not being grilled because what I want is not important or valuable, or that I'm not wise enough to choose what I want. It's that belief of like, no, you're being grilled or you're being asked questions because it's helping you to decide, like, is this truly something that you want and need? And
it also helps that person that you're asking the help from to see the value in what you need. If you can't display what the value is that you need, then how are they going to see that it's valuable? So they're asking for their own information. It's just like when kids ask us stuff. Well, why do I have to do that? We immediately, because I said,
Right.
well, no, explain to them. They're genuinely curious. Why do you need that? Why do I have to do that? So it's just a trigger in us to say, oh, he's asking me and, making me prove what I want. Well, yeah, prove the value of what you want, because if you want it bad enough, it'll be so easy to prove that there's value in it. Whether it's something materialistic or something you need, done, or just a way you want to be treated,
Right.
that they will see the value in, okay, this helps her. I do the dishes. She's super nice. We can make this work. They see the value in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that, at least for me, if I'm being questioned, it makes me feel that what I want is not important, and that it's questioning my beliefs. And like, I don't want to be wrong. I want to be, I know what I need. I know what I want. Like, this is valuable to me. But if you, make me question that, then it's just like, oh my gosh, that type of questioning makes you maybe feel not as smart or not as wise. And those are all just like conditioned beliefs. So that's not that it's true. Like, if this is truly valuable to you, nobody can deter you from actually that true belief, because this is what you believe in. This is what you think that you need. Like, just stand in that. And then everyone else can get on board.
So part of that too is being able to set boundaries and saying no. Obviously, I know I have a hard time with that, because it does feel like now we are letting people down when we're setting those boundaries, especially coming from people that are people pleasers and, want to be there. They're helpers. They always want to help somebody, but it's not a rejection. It's a redirection, because there's been so many times that I've said yes and hated every minute of whatever that was, and had to say, you know what, if I would have just said no to this, it would have made no difference whether I was there or not, or whether I did it or not, and I would have been more at peace. And so it's okay to first set those boundaries and then be able to stand up for them by, saying yes or no. It takes a long time to learn. I'm still working on that.
It does. That's a huge one, to say no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I'd have learned that young, but you don't. You go through life and you're just saying yes to everything, all to people please.
Yeah.
And in the end, you're miserable.
Well, yeah. And also to protect yourself from rejection.
Yes.
To protect yourself from losing friends or relationships. And it's like, we have to get comfortable with losing some things when you ask for what you want.
Exactly.
And if you're not getting what you want, and those people leave you when you start asking for what you want, then those people aren't for you.
Not for you.
That's not your friend. That's not a good spouse. Like, we have to get comfortable with that. Or maybe not even just get comfortable. We have to be okay with doing uncomfortable things.
Yes.
And it doesn't feel good to maybe lose a friendship, but does it feel good to bend over backwards for somebody that you don't get it in return?
Yep.
Or does it feel good to do everything around your house and still be abused?
Right.
Or still be taken advantage of? Like, weigh your options. What's harder? Being in an abusive relationship or saying no and letting that person leave? I don't know, but
Yeah, you have to choose for yourself. Which
you have
one
to
is-
choose
yeah.
for yourself. They're both hard.
Yeah. Make a
It's hard to
decision.
stand up for yourself. I know when I raised my prices for doing hair about a year ago, it was the most I ever fathomed to charge somebody for getting their hair done. And it was so difficult in my body. Like I felt nervous, afraid, especially when I went to go tell the individual. In my body feels like so much resistance is coming up. Like, don't do it. This person's not going to like it. Whatever the situation that my ego was reminding me of. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. But then once you do it, it feels like a weight is lifted off. Like we can do difficult things. And then we actually get what we want. And it feels so much better to receive what you're worth. Nobody was even mad. No, people just paid it because they know that my haircut is
value.
yeah.
The value.
Yes, because they knew my value, not me.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like
Right.
when we don't actually perceive ourselves as valuable,
Yes.
then we are the ones that are getting hurt. We are the ones that our nervous system is wrecked. We are the ones that are dysregulated
Yeah.
because we didn't see our own value. We didn't ask for, this is what I need.
Right.
And deserve.
Yeah.
And deserve.
Yeah.
We have these preconceived notions of what people are going to say and do to us. And we've then established fear. You start thinking, oh, they're going to leave us. They won't be my friend anymore. The good part of getting older is you don't really care anymore. I find myself going, I don't really need you in my life. If this is how you feel, and going through COVID and you stand up and you stand in your truth and realize those people never had your back ever just because you stand up for something.
Yeah.
So we have these preconceived ideas of what people are going to do and react to us. And the bottom truth is, who really cares? We do have to value ourselves.
Well, when we start setting the boundaries and walking in our truth, we align with the people that are going to be your circle. So the alignment happens a lot easier when your boundaries are set and people come into your life that you never thought would be there, and people leave your life that you thought would never leave.
Yeah.
And that is just the joy of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If girls would stand up and ask for what they wanted, I thought of that. What would the world be like if I, as a little girl, learned how to speak my mind and ask? And sometimes you're growing up in situations where it's not possible. But I thought about what women would be like, girls would be like. I think of my granddaughter.
It's the conditioning, and it starts obviously very young, depending on how your parents are. And then you get into school, you have to ask to go to the bathroom, you get questioned. And, all these questions come up and the drilling starts and then the rejection starts. It's like all of the things that lead to your subconscious thinking you can't ask.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can, as the new generation comes up, we can teach them that no matter how many times someone says no, that no is just a redirection. So if it's a no towards you, then figure out a redirection. Either that's not the thing for you, or you figure out how to get it a different way. I think a lot of times, parents don't let kids ask the questions. They want these strong, bold kids, but then they ask a question, they're like, no, do what I say. Well, no, if you want a strong, bold child that is, going to stand up for themselves, and they got to be able to stand up for themselves a little bit to you as well. Let them ask the question.
Yeah.
explain to them, they're learning too. So, yeah, it's very sad the programming that starts so early, but we can, as parents, try to deflect some of that. But that's why a lot of women, there's women that do have more of a voice. They have not had such a rejection maybe with
Right.
asking for what they want, and they've learned that they get it and they are aligned with themselves. So it has taken them less time to learn that. And I definitely envy those women.
The confidence to trust your own intuition and to trust your own inner knowing. I guess those are the same things, but still. But like, to know what you want. So like, knowing what I want. The same thing with deciding to birth my babies outside of the medical system. Like, I knew that I wanted that. And I told Tony, hey, how do you feel about this? This is how I want to do this. This is how I want to birth my children. This is how I want to raise my children. And we have these conversations. And if he was not on board, I gave him the proof of why I was suggesting what I was suggesting.
Yeah.
And then he has the option to, counteract what I'm saying,
Yeah.
but we can have these conversations and go back and forth with it. But my inner knowing is telling me this is the direction I want to go. And with that comes with, how are you asking?
Yeah.
I didn't tell my husband, this is how we're going to birth my baby. This is
Right.
how we're going to do this.
Yeah.
No, I said, how do you feel about this?
Yeah.
Let's have an open conversation.
Yeah.
This is what I've learned and this is what I want. And I'm not telling you how to do it. Hey, I need you to do the dishes, or you must do the dishes. Or no, it's like, hey, I have a lot on my plate right now with this, that, and the other. Can you please do this?
Yeah.
Please and thank you. Oh my goodness.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to never say please. It's like, the please sounds so sassy to me, but it's like such a conditioned thing. I don't know.
Well, it's also like almost like I shouldn't have to ask. Like I shouldn't have to say please
Yeah.
because I shouldn't be having to ask. And it's like, no, some things you do have to ask. I mean, yes,
Yes.
should he walk by and maybe see it, but most of the time they don't even pay attention to that. So it's like,
Right.
it's okay to ask. It's okay to say please. It's okay to say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Know what you want. And I say that with, I have a wonderful husband that he wants to give me what I want. And I know that not every woman has that.
yeah.
And so coming from that point, Mom, we know that you have been in situations in a marriage where maybe you did not get what you want and you would ask for things and you didn't get them.
I know, being married to Scott, that financially we struggled for several years, and then we finally were doing better. And not to blame him completely, but I mean, you girls know we would go shopping. You girls would want things, and it's over the budget. So the things that I may have wanted or even needed, you saw that they were taken out of the cart, and it's kind of what you do. You kind of make those sacrifices. It's not always easy. There were so many things I know I needed and wasn't able to get. And when I would run marathons, you had to have special shoes. And it was hard. I went buying some cheap, not knowing how to run anyway, but you buy cheap shoes and then you get injured and you realize you need some shoes. So I had to go and ask Scott, I need to buy these shoes and they're almost $100. You know me, that's hard because you're so caught up in the money and how much you're spending. It makes it hard to go ask.
Well, it feels like you're being selfish again. Or you put it on yourself, or they put it on you that you're being selfish. You don't really need that. And then you have to go making yourself smaller or doing less for yourself.
And we become so sacrificial of our own needs.
Yeah.
And we allow our husbands to get away with not doing their role.
Yes.
And their role, biologically, is to provide and protect.
Yes.
And so we sacrifice our needs. So, and again, I think that's a whole topic in itself of I sacrifice everything.
Yeah.
And I don't get anything that I want so that you can, be up here and they can be down here. And it's like, no, I have a need. You are my protector and you provide for me. And this is how much this is going to cost. I need this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it is their duty to figure it out. But we put ourselves on the sacrifice train again before they even have the opportunity to provide those things. And then it's like, yeah, well, I'll figure out how to get the money myself, or I will just get a cheaper pair of shoes so that you can keep yourself small.
Yeah.
And then they don't have to own up to what their role is. And I do think that as a woman, that if your man did go and provide, like, thank him for that.
You should be very
Thank you so much for this. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you for working hard for me to get this.
Well, because men
Boost
like to
them
feel
up.
appreciated. Men need
Yeah.
that. So that approval and that appreciation he's going to buy you 10 more pairs.
Right.
Because you just doted and were so appreciative. That's all they want.
That's what they need.
That's what they need.
Yeah. After they get done doing the dishes, they're like, you see what I did?
Oh, and they do.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think women do is, here's my list and here's yours. I do all of these things, so you owe me all of these things. But then we do and do and do and do, and he can't measure up to your list all the time. And so then they stay small because you're outworking them.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to be with a man that is small.
Yeah.
No.
Who wants to fuck a small man? Nobody. So let's stop outworking our man and take a chill pill. Maybe your dishes can stay in the sink.
Yes.
Maybe your trash can stay in the trash. Maybe you can calm down for 5 minutes and let your man, measure up to the things that you keep doing. Let him try to add to the list. Like, that is what we do in all of relationships is I do something for you, you do something for me. Like, it's just how the world operates.
Yeah.
But when we constantly do for everybody else and then you're mad because nobody can measure up to your list.
Or you didn't get the appreciation that you thought you deserved. Well, and also that goes back to saying no. Sometimes you have to say no to the dishes, no to the laundry. I catch myself all the time being so stressed, and then I'm like, I got this to do, that to do, and go on with my list in my head, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm not mentally in that state of doing any of those right now. I'm going to say no to all of those, realign with myself, take some time to breathe for a second. And then when I'm ready to do those things and I want to do those things, then I'll do them.
Yeah. I remember leaving the dishes in the sink overnight. And that's not normally me. Normally I'm cleaning all the dishes and getting everything done. But I'm learning to just rest in this time in my life. Dishes are not that important anymore. Vacuuming the carpet's not as important anymore. So I'll let it go. And sometimes I'll let it go several days. That's where I say no. I don't feel like it. I'm no longer feeling guilty anymore.
Yeah.
I used to feel the guilt just to go lay on the couch because I'm just exhausted. Or just want to take a break from everything. And I used to feel guilty for that. We should not feel guilty because we want to go lay down. Learning to rest. It is, and learning to ask for those things that we want and not feel the guilt.
But yeah, like not having those expectations, like, oh, if I go and rest or if I leave the dishes, I expect someone else to do it. Like, get rid of the expectations. Like, nobody else cares about your dishes. Nobody else cares about this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And so the only reason you have guilt, is because of your own conditioned beliefs of what you think your home should look like. And then when you do rest or you do take the break, you can't get mad when they don't pick up.
Well, I think the biggest thing too is if you're going to learn to say no and be okay with saying no, you have to be okay with people saying no to you as well. So if I'm like, hey, here's some things that I need done and nobody wants to do them, we can't then we're huffing and puffing and we're all mad because somebody's not helping us. Well, that doesn't align with them at that moment either. So I guess if it doesn't align with you and it doesn't align with them, it just doesn't get done. And it's okay. Or if you if you ask somebody to go somewhere and they say no, it's like sometimes you can be like, oh, they should be putting me first, or they should be doing what I want. I do what they want. It's like, well, no, maybe you should have learned to say no, just like they have now learned to say no.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to be okay with people setting their boundaries, and we have to be able to respect those as well. And in return, if we learn to respect others, we'll learn to respect our own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
And don't take it too personally.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a rejection. It's not that you're not valuable if somebody doesn't want to do what you're asking. Or like, if you want to hang out with somebody and you ask them, you put yourself out there and you're like, hey, do you want to hang out? And they say no. Like, don't take it personally.
Yeah, it just wasn't meant to be.
Here's the thing. I think when it comes to expressing our emotional needs, we are afraid of the other person's emotions and reaction. And we simply have to not care, but we have to do the uncomfortable thing. That person may have an emotional reaction or feel like they're not good enough in whatever you're asking. But that has to be okay, because that is not what you're trying to do. When you are approaching somebody, most likely it's your spouse, like, my sexual needs are not being met, and having that conversation, their self-esteem may go down. They may feel insecure. They may get very emotional about it. But you have to know that that's not your intentions, and they're just taking that information and seeing it through their own conditioned beliefs. So it's not, hey, I'm not trying to make you feel insecure. I'm here for us to have a deeper emotional and intimate connection in the bedroom, and I want more.
Yeah.
I want more out of this experience. I want more out of life in general. So whatever emotions are not being met, being able to ask for them and still nurturing the needs of that person that you're telling, like, it's okay for them to feel a certain way towards what you're asking, and you can nurture what they're feeling, but still standing firm in your needs and your demands of what you want emotionally.
Some of what you're going to need is going to cause other people to have to redirect themselves a little bit. So when we are asking for things, sometimes we do shut ourselves down and keep ourselves uncomfortable instead of putting someone else in the uncomfortable situation. Letting people know what you want, or your husband to know what you want sexually, emotionally, it can trigger them. But there's two hards you got to figure out. Is it you're going to stay in this situation that's not aligning with you anymore, or are you going to address it, and it may spark up hurt or emotional, an emotional feeling in the other person. But at the end of the day, if it aligns with you truly, it will eventually align with them as well. They will have to see the value in it. They will have to see it a little bit more from your perspective, and you will have to communicate about that to get them to see that. But at the end of the day, even though it does put them in an uncomfortable situation, again, we all have to be uncomfortable sometimes. So making them feel uncomfortable a little bit, or a little emotional, or having to actually deal with that trauma, or, emotional stability, or just getting on the next level of life, sometimes it takes a little bit of a push. So you being in alignment with yourself and pushing that person can bring them to their alignment as well.
So many women struggle with talking about sex because their mothers never really talked to them about it. So when you try to reach out to your husband for your fulfillment in your sexual relationship, physical relationship, emotional, but I mean, I've talked with many women who have not even had an orgasm until later in life because they were too afraid to express to their husband how they want to be touched or what would make them feel better. Women need to learn how to communicate to their husband without degrading him, but to be able to express, hey, this isn't working, because you want that connection. And if you're not getting your needs met, you're not going to connect completely with your partner. So I think that's very important for women to figure out what is their sexual desires and not be afraid to talk about it. It seems to be such a taboo to say the word sex, even in the society we're living in now. It's shocking.
Well, we're gonna save that for a whole nother podcast.
That's the other one.
But
Yes,
that would be a whole.
episode in itself.
But it starts with, what do I need? A lot of times it's, I don't even know what I need to ask for.
Yeah.
And so that's the first step, is figuring out what you actually need. And even outside of sex, like, I don't like when you talk to me like this.
Right.
Yeah, the emotional aspect.
I don't like, instead of like, don't talk to me like this, it's, hey, when you do, they need an example. Everybody needs an example.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just say, hey, you're doing this to me. Like, okay, prove that. Like,
Yeah.
And so give them some proof. Like, hey, when you did this, this made me feel this way. And sometimes at the same time, we need to know that not taking everything personally is important as well. But if somebody is repeatedly hurting you or disrespecting you, let's bring that up. And you may also have to approach things multiple times. Think about with children, how many times you have to tell a child to do something, or like, hey, don't touch the hot stove before they learn, or whatever the heck it is.
Yeah.
You may have to bring this up multiple times without getting so mad.
Yeah.
Like, it takes some time to learn something and to change a subconscious reaction. But don't give up just because they're not doing the thing that you want. Don't just give it up and say, whatever, I just don't get what I want, and they can just treat me like crap and I have to deal with it.
Yep.
Now here we are back again with the sacrificial woman.
Yep.
Like, no.
Victimization.
Yeah.
But to know, because sometimes those things will never change.
Well, yeah,
Those
you have
things
to
do
draw a
not-
line in the sand.
There's your boundary.
And that's where sometimes you stay in a marriage way too long because you didn't see that things were not changing after so many times. I would have divorced your dad a long time ago had I had that awakening to know I don't have to keep putting up with this. I have come to you with every different angle, every way to say it, and I'm shot down. So women have to know to be bold and eventually go, this isn't going to work.
Well, sometimes the alignment and the boundary and the saying no will have its end, and you'll have to actually put a big boundary up to where okay. And I like to refer to those, that now that I'm trying to really focus on these boundaries, is having non-negotiables. So there's boundaries, and like you said, there's, okay, you cross the boundary. I'm going to explain to you how you cross this boundary and how it affected me. And I might have to explain that a couple times as things happen, but there are things that I will never deal with again. There's things that I've dealt with that if this happens again, I am no longer telling you, I'm no longer warning you, I'm not giving you any kind of story. This is a non-negotiable for me. So we will not have no further discussion. And then you have to take that into your own, in your own hands at that point of what you have to do with that. Boundaries change often too.
Yes,
So you
right.
said, not that you can't take things seriously, because you do have to have those, but sometimes you do have to say, okay, did I create this boundary out of fear and ego, or did I really create it because it aligns with me and out of love and out of grace for myself and love for myself? That's where this boundary came from, not from this is what I was told to do, this is my belief system, and this is what I've thought, because those things can change. Where if you're setting your boundaries out of love for yourself, then you will not let people cross them, and there will be things that will be non-negotiable at that point. And that will just be what makes you on the next level of yourself. You have to keep evolving, and if people aren't able to meet you where you're at, unfortunately, sometimes you just have to move on from that.
Yeah, relationships can be severed because of it, and that's okay.
Yes, like, oh my gosh, is it so okay? Because sometimes we have these these just standards or these conditioned beliefs of like, oh, I can't leave this man. We have children, and like the whole time you're just being abused, and it's like, what are we doing out here? Like, we are allowed to change. We are allowed to say, hey, this is no longer working. Hey, you are probably not the partner I'm supposed to be with. Hey, you're probably not the friend I'm supposed to have.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Or, hey, I've learned my lesson.
Learn my lesson.
And it's time to move on.
Yes.
I've learned many lessons from you. Thank you for the learning experience. It's time to move on.
yes,
You put me through hell. I'm ready to move on now.
yes,
I can't take no more of it.
yes. And it's okay.
It's okay. That's the thing society hasn't taught us, that it is okay. It's okay to say goodbye to those friends, the marriage.
And it's okay to go through hard things.
We have to realize where the alignment is, because what aligns for us and who is meant to be in our life will be. They will see the value, they will respect the value, and they will want to partake in what you want.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, then the alignment is not there, and it's okay for it to be severed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was talking
Yeah.
to a client yesterday, matter of fact, and she's going through a divorce, and we're talking, and I clearly said I wish I would have divorced years ago. You don't stay for the children. If you don't think they don't see what's going on, the kids know you're both miserable. Whether you don't fight in front of them or not, they sense it. And you're just causing more damage. So it's okay to sever that relationship as quickly as you feel it's necessary.
Yeah.
Well, and it goes back to the pre-programming of shame and guilt.
Mm-hmm.
It's we all carry it, and it's programmed in us since we're younger to be the good girl and don't cause any conflicts, don't make anyone else feel small, don't correct anyone because that's disrespect, and sit down, shut up, and be good.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're not, you're the troublemaker, you're selfish, and you're stuck with all of the shame and guilt that you live with forever. So you don't want to ruffle feathers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm about done not ruffling feathers.
Right, right. It's
As you get older, it gets
time.
easier. You just don't care anymore. I don't
Well,
care.
at this point, we shouldn't have to wait till we get older.
Right.
It should be easy right
Exactly.
now.
Learn this
It will
now.
be easy now if we're
Yes.
teaching the kids to do it.
Mhm.
Stand up for yourself.
Mhm.
Say what you want. Say what you don't want. If something makes you uncomfortable, speak it.
I agree.
Totally.
But teaching our kids to do that now, especially as young girls, being able to ask for what they want, and it starts off as simple as, let me know when you're hungry. Let me know, the little things. Let me know what you don't like. Let me know what your fears are. And sometimes you got to, maybe ask questions because they don't know exactly what they need. When you're little, you don't know what you need. So you do have to be asked, and then they can learn to express those. But that's one of the biggest things, is teaching little girls to find out, what do they need? What do they like? What do they want? And, what are their dreams? What inspires them? Things that can change all the time, but ask those questions so that they can get comfortable talking about what they want and what they need.
I remember Sophia, I wanted to go, I think come over, maybe spend the night, and oh, she had made plans with her friend and she didn't want you to tell me. And I said, tell her it's okay. She does not have to come to Titi's. I'm not going to be mad. She was just so worried about hurting me.
Yeah.
And I don't ever want her to feel that way. So we're teaching her now. These are the things we are teaching her.
Yeah.
I'm her favorite person.
Yeah.
She does not want to hurt me, but I'm going to be okay. So
Yeah.
I always want her to know, you stand up for what you want. If you want to go to your friends instead of my house,
Yeah.
that's okay. We'll make plans another day. You don't want your kids to ever be afraid to say no.
Well, it's also the conditioned belief of that me asking for what I want is disrespectful, or like that's not true.
It's not.
And you don't, again, reiterating the way that we use our voice, asking for what we want does not mean that we're being disrespectful or that we're harsh, we're rude. Like, use your voice with kindness and gentleness, asking for what you want. And even if they're emotionally hurt, that is their problem.
Mm-hmm. That will push them. That is their lesson to learn.
Just because they have emotions around what you're asking for doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong and now you need to play small and not ask for what you want.
Yeah.
Right.
Asking for what you want may hurt somebody's feelings, but that is up for them to figure out and analyze for themselves.
Yeah. Because if we tiptoe around everybody's emotions, we're
You're
just
never
going to
gonna
lose
get what you
ourselves.
want.
Yeah, we're literally never
You're
getting
never
what we
gonna
want.
get what you want.
I'm never getting it.
Yeah, like the amount of times that I've asked for things, and even the same thing in return, fellas. Men asking what they want from their wives.
Yeah, be direct.
Oh my gosh, that is the
Stop
biggest
beating
point.
around.
Direct.
Stop beating around the
Everybody,
bush.
male, female,
Yes.
whatever you are,
Say
non-binary
what
in
you
this bitch, whatever you want to be direct.
Yeah.
Right.
Because nobody can pick when you're like, well, like I feel this way with this, and like I don't really have any proof for why I feel this way. Like, no. I want to feel all that there is
Yep.
physically in the bedroom.
Yep.
I want to, whatever it is, be direct.
Yeah, I want to be emotionally supported. I want to be boosted up. I want to have the love and affection. I want you to think I'm the best person in the world. Show me
Yes.
that.
I want you to be a wild, untamed tiger in the bedroom. I want you to show me that I'm the desirable woman that I am.
Yes.
Just like they want in return. And if we keep
Yes.
doing that back and forth for each other, the dynamic just gets greater and greater.
Yes.
And that's how you build. You are learning together how to love each other, how to emotionally be there for each other, what you guys want in the bedroom. Those are all learned things because you're trying to figure it out for yourselves and with each other. So be direct. Say what you want and how you want it, and it's okay. And the more direct you are, the less emotions get involved.
Right.
Right.
So I think it all just comes down to communication and letting yourself feel comfortable enough with your spouse to express those desires and your wants and setting your boundaries. Very, very important. And I like what you said, not just boundaries, but what was the word?
Non-negotiables.
Non-negotiables.
Yep.
Though that's perfect
Have
right
all
there.
set.
Yeah. Women just need to be bold and not be afraid to speak their mind and share what they want in love, definitely in love, not with attacking of you better do this or I'm out of here. Don't keep making those threats. I think I made those threats several times too. But learn to communicate, learn to do it in love.
Yeah. Learn what you want. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want. You are so worthy to get and to receive all that this life has to offer. Things can be difficult and it can feel a little uncomfortable in the body sometimes, but doing the hard thing is always worth it because we deserve joy, peace, happiness, and we deserve ultimately to have exactly what we want. So next week, return home with us. It's our Mother's Day special, and we're looking forward to hanging out with you guys again.
See you next week. We're all just finding our way back to ourselves, one honest conversation at a time. Catch you next time on the Return Home